Dude, Paul Carter's hypocrisy has to be studied. Like, Paul Carter will always go after Dr. Mike for basing all his things off of outcome data and not mechanisms, but he does the exact same thing when it comes to defending his agenda. He'll go off at Dr. Mike for saying, oh, deep stretch is just, outcome data doesn't make sense mechanistically for advanced lifters, and doing high volumes is just doesn't make sense mechanistically. It's just edema, and you're just basing things off of outcome studies. Like, recently he posted about this meta-analysis to try and say that full body and upper lower is the same gains, but it's just outcome data. It doesn't make sense mechanistically. Like, it shows that 2 times a week is greater than 3 times a week. Like, how would 2 times a week be a lot greater than 1 time a week, but then just be the same as 3 times a week? It just does not make sense. Like, going from 1 time a week to 2 times a week, you're going to have less days of atrophy, and you're spreading that volume out more so that you have more of those first sets, which are going to be more stimulating. From 2 times a week to 3 times a week, it's the exact same thing. And also, like, with how he tries to defend doing, like, lat pull down on one day and lat rows on the other day, like the whole fiber-specific topic. Like, he'll say, oh yeah, there's these long-term hypertrophy studies or this EMG study, but like, bro, does it make sense with the mechanisms that we have in place? Like, are you going to say that there's no voluntary activation deficit in the lats? If you want to say that, then you have to say that all fibers of the lat are recruited in both exercises, which is just insane, bro. Like, or you have to say that those fibers are not atrophying, which is also insane. Because let's say, for example, you did 2 sets of a lat pull down on one day, and on the upper B, you did 2 sets of a lat row. And there's going to be some specific muscle fibers that are only recruited on one day, and some specific muscle fibers that are only recruited on the other day. And of course, it's going to be crossover. But for those specific muscle fibers, if they're only recruited on one of those exercises, they're only receiving 2 sets of stimulus. So you'd have to be saying that 2 sets of stimulus 1 time a week is enough for growth. Like, it's ridiculous. It's just outcome based. Or even when he says seated calf raises are like trash, and that you're going to have the same amount of soleus in a seated calf raise compared to a straight-legged calf raise. And he based it off of a study that saw similar growth in the soleus between the two, even though there was a trend towards the seated calf raise. But like, from a mechanistic standpoint, like, the soleus has better leverage in a seated calf raise, so it would have to be better for the soleus. So he literally does the same thing that Dr. Mike does when he has to defend his agenda. It's honestly funny, so yeah, I hope so.